All right. So after a long time, we are starting. Today we will talk about acting in the actors group, and acting not as a profession only. Though we talk about the craft of acting, techniques of acting, and if we go deeper, we will talk about philosophy. Now, as an actor, many people will ask, why are you going for philosophy? Why you are going for this and that? But the thing is, if you want to delve deeper into life, at some point of your life, you start asking questions. You find your own philosophy, or maybe you get inspired by someone else's philosophy. You read different writers and you can relate to them. Then psychology, different discoveries, but ultimately it's about humanity, it's about human beings. So philosophy will give you an inspiration, psychology will give you an inspiration, whatever you read, sociology about people, society will give you inspiration. Then if you really want to research, if you really want to delve deep into the discipline of acting, the nitty-gritty of acting, the nuances, if you want to go deeper into those aspects, you can do your research. But what happens is, when you are in that profession, you don't think about much. Many people don't think about those theories and disciplines. Though they read books they can relate to, they want to read more. At some point of time, people get complacent, they get saturated. So they want to look for inspiration elsewhere. They want to read some books, that can give them some ideas regarding acting, something they can work on so that they can be better actors, they can enhance their repertoire and all these things. So those things are there. But if you really want to be great at acting, you will see that you will try different techniques, you will do improvisation, you will try to understand the character more, you will try to get into the character's head, you will try to look at the interaction, you will try to understand the situation, understand the inner layerings of the situation, the complexity of the characters. So you will go through all these things, and you will see that the more you do that, sometimes a bit of it you can use in your performance, but that is shaping you as an actor, that is shaping you as a human being. So some people come from training. We talk about actors group, many people come from training. They go to theaters, they go to film schools, they go to the academy of acting, they go to the academy of theaters, they go through a lot of literature, they go through a lot of character studies, they go through a lot of techniques they can apply. But you will see that whenever we are talking about acting in Hok Aloron, you will see that whether you read a book, or you practice, or you go through philosophy, or you go through psychology, sociology, whatever you, social sciences, humanities, whatever you go through, you will see that it will have an outcome, and the outcome is your performance. It can be your performance, or you are getting to know more about acting. So if someone is asking you, what can I know more about acting, where can I go to, so you can give them a proper advice. They can read those books, they can figure out on their own, they can try different stuff, and they can figure out, they are trying their own acting styles, how they can come up with a particular performance. They can do that. Things are available, and if you want to delve deeper into those aspects, you can write your own book. But you will see that ultimately it's about the human being, and the person is giving a performance. So what happens is, we have seen different people have done different research. Sometimes when you are in this profession, maybe you haven't heard of those people, but someone who has gone through a school, that person has gone through those names, those techniques and all these things. But sometimes what happens is, you go through a lot of practices, you try to you try different things, you try to do improvisation, and you think, you introspect, you think deeply about the subject, what performance you are giving, and how you are preparing yourself for that particular performance, for that particular character, how you are interacting with the other characters, how you are preparing yourself. So when you do that, you will see that you are going through those aspects, theoretical, practical, and all these things. But already many people have gone through a lot of things. They have figured out before the those discoveries, those disciplines, the things we talk about. They figured out and they created this knowledge, in terms of theories, in terms of books, and all these things. And then people got inspired from that, and they created their own things. So you can relate to it. Maybe for 20 years you have done acting, but suddenly you are looking through the names and their discoveries, and you can relate to it. Oh, I have done this. There was a situation, I applied this, I can relate to this. These are the things. That's why we are emphasizing a lot about education. Education means not that a particular way of being educated, but rather you are having that continuous learning mindset. Whatever you are going through, if you have to give a small performance too, you are not compromising. You are giving your best. Whatever you have to go through, whatever research you have to go through, whatever practices, methods you have to go through, whatever processes you have to go through, whatever you have to study, whatever you have to get your inspiration from, whatever you do that, but ultimately it comes to that performance. And you are learning. You are learning from your mistakes. You are learning from the things you did well, where you could have improvised. So all these things. So generally what we do is, when people go through these film schools and then acting schools, they learn these names. Stanislavski, imagination, the importance of imagination. Tempo, rhythm, physical tensions, free body and relaxations. Invisible rays, natural silence, awareness, movement, emotional recall. Sense memory, emotional memory. So the grammar of acting people get to know about. Then we talk about bits. Actor becomes the character and all these things. Drama therapy, you can use drama as therapy too. Many people are in other professions, but you can use drama as therapy. Sometimes people are in other professions, but they are learning so much from acting performances. So it's a great service you do to the society too. It's a profession, you are earning a lot, you're giving a lot of entertainment, but many people are learning a lot from that performance too. So you can give a lot, you can try a lot of things. Pacing exercises we can do. Pacing exercises in terms of movement, in terms of speech, in terms of voice, intonation, modulation, diction, then this intensity and loudness. So many things we can play with. But the human experience is really important. How people are having that experience. So many people say that whatever is happening on the stage must have a purpose. So all these theories, they talk about it should have a purpose. We are focusing on physical action. You don't get distracted. To get away from the audience, you get interested on something on the stage. You don't get distracted, and you live your part every time you perform. So whatever part you are performing, you are actually living your part. So those things, and physical and vocal apparatus we have as a human being, and we are working on that. Tension and relaxation, how we are working on that. Listen, how you are listening. You are creating a deep connection with your partner. Interaction. So whenever we are doing communication, we are doing dialogue, we are doing interaction. It's a big thing for an actor, for an artist, because you are listening, you are giving a lot of importance to it, provided that person is worthy of giving importance. Then you are forming a deep connection with that person. So with that partner. So energy communication, experiential communication, emotional space you are having. All these things we talk about, and we will go through all these things more. But you will see that participation in life, as I always mention, the more you are exploring life, the more you are enjoying life, looking at life in a nuanced manner, looking at people, looking at their, how they act, how they perform, how they do their gestures, how they do their movements, verbal language, body language, and all these things, how they react. So you're looking at the character studies, you're looking at the speech patterns, you're looking at all these things. Many people go through all these things in drama schools, Then if you have to embody one character, what are the processes you have to go through? So you are working on that. Now Strasbourg, if I talk about Strasbourg, taking things out of your past. Something happened and you are taking things out of your past. So psychological, Stanislavski, if I talk about Stanislavski, it's a lot about emotional memory, psychological faith, if I talk about Strasbourg, taking things out of your past, what happened, and you are emotionally, you are recalling and you are taking things out. Stella Adler, if I talk about Stella Adler, act not with words, but act with your soul. So a lot, listen with your blood, act with your soul, speak out your tormenting thoughts, take life in completely. She talks about all these things. But take life in, just I mentioned, exploring. So different people are talking about similar things in a different way. So when you take life in, you are exploring, you are taking life in, you will see that you can relate to it. You have your toolbox and you can create so much, from your toolbox. For that particular character, for that particular scene, for that particular situation, you need something from that toolbox, and you are picking it, and you are trying those things, to give that performance, to play that particular role. So you can do all those things. Sandy Meisner, when he talk about improvisation, acting, reacting, repeating, observing, watching the other person. So lines back and forth. Repetition is a big deal. If I talk about Robert Louis, realism, ensemble playing, truthful on the stage again. So we can talk about all these things, but I am just mentioning few things, because whenever I have talked about acting, I have mentioned names. But the thing is, if you have gone through all these things, if you have really practiced it, if you have really studied it, practiced it, you have tried to implement it, whether it is in your writing, whether it is in your the performances you directed, whether it is in the performances you yourself did, you can talk about stuff very naturally, you can write about stuff very naturally. But people who haven't gone through that, people who haven't gone through that effort, that discipline, that effort, those practices, those processes, to them these are just words, lines, what he is saying, we don't even understand what is the meaning of it. But people who have gone through that, they have understood what acting can give you. If we talk about that human experience, we love giving that performance, we love portraying that role, portraying that character, and we want to go to any extent to portray that character, and that is a joy of acting. Sometimes it is more than a profession, whether you call it art or whatever you call it, but you are giving it a lot, and you are having that human experience. So people who criticize it, mostly who are not from the profession, they will criticize. People who are not from the profession, they will criticize, obviously. And people who understand it but cannot perform, even these writings, these talks, these discussions can mean a lot, because they can relate to it. Oh, I could have given that performance in that way. Oh, I can relate to it. Those people are there. Some people are providing a particular kind of entertainment. They don't want to listen to all these things. But when you are not understanding or listening to all these things, or you don't want to understand, that means you are missing out on life. So it is not like I am rejecting this person, I am rejecting this and that. It is like, I want to give this performance in a better way. If you want to give this performance in a better way, you have to go through these processes. And these are the things we can work on. These are the processes we can go through. So ultimately, we are giving a good performance. So when we will give that performance, people will enjoy, we will enjoy, the director will enjoy. Overall, the thing we will create or the thing we will offer, that will give an entertainment people will enjoy, and great performances, So keeping all those things aside, what we are talking about here is, we are not talking about mediocrity here. That is the first thing. But if you want to give a decent performance, but you still have that in you, you are studying, you are trying to take inspiration, you are trying to, looking at, you're trying to look at places so that you can find inspiration, you can find things you can study, things you can observe, things you can imitate, things you can, imagine, so that you can become a better actor. What you can do is, you can study, you can go through those processes. I will suggest go through those processes. If you really want to be a better actor, better director, go through those processes. Even as a writer, I will say, go through those processes, because what happens is, sometimes when people are writing, there is a disconnect with the characters. There are people like that. Sometimes when people are writing, they are so much involved in the characters they are creating. The dialogues are having that, the scenes are having that, the conflicts are having that, and that is the kind of performance